basically makes sense because this is the entrance to this tube that goes or runs through your whole body.
Yeah, but many people, myself included, for a long time would have of the teeth where it just seems like they are, I don't know, like the chain on a chainsaw. It just cuts through the stuff, and it's like this isolated vacuum, as opposed to being individual organs that are completely integrated into your autonomic nervous system and your immune system. And I saw an interesting picture showing the nerves coming off of the teeth and traveling all the way back up to into the spinal cord. And it's so beautiful to see that. But I think that the way that Western culture, in large part, our perspectives are molded via two-dimensional textbooks. We kind of see things as isolated, reduced parts, as opposed to integrated systems. And one of the things you have in your book, It's All in Your Mouth, that I found to be interesting and kind of obvious, which a lot of the most interesting things are, but there's no separation between your mouth and your digestive system and your intestines. And so we're so hot and bothered by the microflora inside of our intestines, and the microbiome. But you can actually gather much information just about your microbiome by looking into the mouth or smelling someone's breath, or is there like some, fuzzy furry stuff on their tongue, or is there, so it's an interesting thing. It's like the mouth is kind of like a window into at least into the microbiome. And if you want to be more poetic, you could maybe say like a window into the soul, I think.
Yeah, in everything. Yeah, perfect. I always say it's the mirror to your overall health, because you can really see and smell within a second if something is rotten in your body, because you can see it on your teeth. And yes, the microbiome, everybody talks about the intestines and gut health and digestion, but think about it, like you actually said it, where does it really start? What are you doing right now? Is drinking something, maybe there's some food in it, so it starts in your mouth. When you prepare your food, or when you smell food, your saliva will start to flow, right? Saliva is this miracle liquid in your mouth that actually already, with chewing foods, will start dissolving foods or already. Yeah,
which is important to chew your smoothies, right? That's something I say a lot, because I don't know, a lot of things I say. Right? Yeah. So when you're chewing, that mastication, chomping motion, that's actually causing the release of various different enzymes that break down carbohydrates, from my understanding. And if you're bypassing that and you're allowing the chompers of the blender to do all of the chewing, you're actually missing out on a fundamental process in your digestion. Is that right?
Exactly. There's tons of amylases in your saliva in your mouth. Yeah, and if you bypass that, it's bad, because it's then undigested. Part is missing. So it's good to say to chew your smoothie. You actually also should chew your water and everything, and keep it a little bit in your mouth.
What does that mean, chew your water?
That means you just don't swallow it or gargle it down too fast. Just like have it a little bit in your mouth. Why? It's just to warm it up and get the right temperature. But also, everything you have in your mouth is basically preparing your gut, your intestines, and also brings in the right enzymes, the right peptides, whatever is needed further down. It is really the digestive tract. Basically, what I always say is your gut starts in your mouth, not in your stomach down there, not below your diaphragm, but actually where you put stuff in. And if you see it from your microbiome perspective, the microbiome that we mostly talk about is in your colon and not the one at the beginning. So the microbiome in your mouth is about 4 to 10 folds more diversified and bigger than the one in your colon, according to literature. And that makes sense, because everything you put in your mouth is has to be controlled. It's also kind of like your own inner army or protection system. And you know that we are like a symbiont. I don't have to tell you that we're a symbiont with I think we only 1/10 human DNA.
Yeah, the rest bacterial, which that number keeps getting kind of twisted around. But it's a lot. You
can really find it. But sometimes I was thinking, who is really the host here?
Sure.
You never know. Yeah. So there is this theory, there is so many theories, that we have been a worm at one point, which could be this tube going through us, and the worm then build a body around it. Everything is possible. we have not been there, so
Yeah.
I can imagine everything. So it's really interesting. If you also see epidemiology, how all these different parts in your body are connected when it comes to the neural tube, which means how your cells grow from being an embryo and then build each other, how it's all connected, that a part of your sinus is basically a part of your large intestine. It's really great if you see all these things. And then you get this integrative view, like you said on this one picture, where you see the teeth, the 32 teeth connected to your whole brain, kind of like the eyes. Yeah? Teeth and eyes are extensions of your brain.
Sure.
And really qualify as organs. And those are the closest basically to your brain, to your thyroid. Obviously, whatever you do on them, or in your mouth will affect your whole body. It's kind of like if you inject something in your shoulder, it will still be in your whole body. Obviously, also on the teeth. But the problem is in conventional dentistry, which is obviously the entrance card that all dentists need, is it's more like you're saying the teeth are kind of like parts of your just to bite, and it's hard stuff. So it probably can be drilled and filled and be used for just biting, but it's so much more than just biting. It's really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, that's such an interesting perspective. A reframe of our visual system, or our eyes, came to me recently from a buddy. Are you familiar with Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman?
And Huberman?
Yeah.
Yes, I listened to him because he's also a skater and neuroscientist. And I'm very much interested in all the neurotransmitters. It's big part of my teaching too.
Yeah.
So
Andrew's great. But one of the things that he reframed for me is that, I kind of learned the central nervous system was, the spine, brain, and then you had the peripheral nervous system was pretty much everything else. And then it's like, well, the eyes are a continuation of the central nervous system. They're going right off the brain. Could you maybe make a similar argument with the teeth? I mean, ultimately, again, all of these are deductions. The central nervous system, peripheral nervous, those are just stories that we're kind of telling ourselves. Ultimately, the body has no idea what we're talking about. But is there that direct of a connection that you could make that argument about the teeth?
That the teeth are an extension of your nervous system?
Well, the way that the reframe that I got from Huberman about the eyes being a continuation of the central nervous system, and they're like directly strapped into the brain. Could you maybe perhaps make a similar argument about the teeth in the sense of
yes, if you can say that. I'm not a native speaker, but obviously it's exactly the same from anatomy.
Yeah.
The eyes is we have 12 cranial nerves.
Yeah.
The eyes are on the oculomotorius, and the teeth are connected to the trigeminal nerves. It's one of these 12 cranial nerves, and 50% of all the space in your brain for these 12 nerves is reserved for this trigeminus nerve, which goes here, here, and here. So yes, it could be. I would say you could say exactly the same for the teeth.
Yeah.
And this is really something that nobody's talking about. And obviously, there's a theory that because it's an extension of your brain, and if you look at the mineral structure of teeth, also just theory and not really like there's no research behind it, but look at these teeth. Those are crystal structures. There is the theory that this is the external hard drive of your computer here where stuff gets stored, because of the tiny crystal structure. It's kind of like, is it called an external drive?
Hard drive, yeah.
Hard drive, yeah. I think that's really possible, that something gets stored there.
Yeah. Well, this conversation has the potential to get very weird. One direction I thought was really interesting, and I got this from your book, which is, again, you could get this from other books as well, but that in the exploration of discovering the microflora species inside the mouth some 300 years ago. And I don't remember what the guy, von Huken something or another. But he had a microscope, he was observing semen and found all the sperm in there. I was like, oh my God, it's a bunch of little swimmers in there. And observing saliva and seeing all these, hundreds of species of microflora existing in our saliva, in our mouth. And then you drew that back to, them being the original inhabitants of everything, and so drawing back 13.8 whatever billion years with the Big Bang, that was the origination of these bacteria. And whether it's the exact same bacteria in the mouth or not, I mean, I don't know, who knows? But it's, some level of ancestral connection to that. And I feel like if you, smoke enough weed, or eat enough mushrooms or whatever and sit with it, you can kind of be like, oh my God, this human form that I call, Aaron, you call Dom or Dominic, it's like, in fact, my consciousness is riding on the back of this bacteria that's been around billions of years longer than me, and we kind of think that I'm the king, I'm in control here. It's like, I don't know. I feel like the bacteria might kind of be running the show. They might have been running the show for since the beginning of time. So to develop a relationship with those bacteria seems like the move. If you can't beat them, join them. So it's like, it's an interesting, especially presently, and I'll shut up in a second, presently, we're kind of in this war against bacteria and viruses and, in this state of hypersanitization. And, it seems almost kind of sweet to just remove your teeth and put something more sterile inside there, as like with the narrative that we're gathering.
Yes. Do you know that? Yeah, that's what I meant by who is really the host.
Yeah.
It's so obviously normally the idea was to eat more dirt, which was better for your whole microbiome. The more diversified, the better probably. Currently other things. There is this. Did you know that in some cultures, for a wedding gift was to remove the bride's teeth, or the whole set of teeth? Save money for later or something, or keep her healthy for later.
I heard that happens in Amish communities.
Was it Amish?
I just heard that recently. I saw it on a YouTube thing.
I don't know if that's still existing, but this was a common practice, just taking out all the teeth. And
yeah, we got to look into that. We maybe in the show notes we'll put something. But I literally just heard this a few days ago on something non-related to researching this, but on occasion in Amish communities to prevent, preventative, a prophylactic of sorts, just remove the teeth to prevent any type of more problematic or financial
because it's going to be more expensive
if
you have all dental work done or whatever.
Yeah.
But a healthy body is immune against tooth decay and immune against all these things, as Weston Price showed so clearly.
Yeah.
But obviously our bodies, or in this current situation, it's quite clear that the general population isn't as healthy as they should be.
Yeah.
And you can see it on their teeth. Because the idea should be in the future, or the mindset, at least for biological dentists that I teach, is to not need to drill at all. Keep all your healthy teeth until you're 120.
Yeah. So